Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Funeral Talk with yours truly, Annayyyy. First and foremost, I do want to apologize that it has taken me so long to get to the next episode. Unfortunately, last weekend, I received a call at about 7:20 in the morning on Saturday with the sad news that my aunt, on my dad's side, his oldest sister, had passed. Initially, this second episode was going to be about how I was introduced to the funeral industry, what made me do it, who was the person that got me in. But as everything in life, nothing goes as planned. So I decided to make the second episode about the passing of my aunt and how just because we're in the industry, it does not mean that we don't hurt when one of ours passes on. So I decided to make it about her and the experience that we actually had being out there in Mexico. She did pass away in Mexico. Apologies in advance if I do get emotional, as I was very close to her. She was the next best thing from my grandmother. She was the oldest of her siblings, and we would see her very often. I've noticed that a lot of people have this perception that if you work in the funeral industry, you don't hurt. You know, you are prepared to deal with the passing of your loved ones. And truth is, you're never really ready. You're never ready to say goodbye forever. You're never ready to not hear their voice again. You can't mentally prepare yourself, and that's how I felt going to Mexico. Saturday morning at about 7:22 in the morning, I received a call from my godmother, my madrina Cindy, and she was crying. I honestly thought it was something, I not once did it cross my mind that it would be a passing in the family. We weren't expecting it. She's crying. I'm barely waking up. Her phone call actually woke me up. And I said, Madrina, ¿qué tienes? You know, what's wrong? And she was yelling. I mean, I can't even describe the hurt in her voice. My tía, mi tía, mi tía. And I said, what tía? At that point, I jumped up. I threw the covers, off of me. And I said, what tía? And she said, my tía Reina. My tía Reina is no longer here with us. I don't even remember hanging up the phone. I don't know. I don't remember anything. All I remember is running out of my room, trying to find my dad, wanting to know if he knew the news, or I was lost. I didn't see my dad in his room, so I ran to the kitchen and my mom was standing there. At this point, I'm trying to catch my breath. My mom turns and looks at me and she says, ¿Qué tienes? What's wrong with you? She holds my arms and she's shaking me. Dime, ¿qué tienes? ¿Qué pasó? What's wrong? What happened? And all I can say is, mi tía Reina. That's all I had to say for her to catch what I was trying to tell her. And she hugged me and she just said, she's in a better place. She was already tired. She wanted to be with your tío, which is her husband. And by the time my dad was actually in the restroom, by the time my dad got out of the restroom, I had another aunt, his brother's his brother's wife call and say, hey, I have bad news. Reina passed on. My dad, as we all were, very shocked. I began calling my brothers. I only have 2 older siblings whom I've loved so much. I called my brothers and I said, hey, I gave them the news. They shot over to my parents' house. And my dad said, I have to go. I have to go see my sister. I have to go say goodbye to her for the last time. And I told them, I said, hold on. Let me call my manager. Let me call my manager and let me see if it's okay for me to go. I called my manager. Oh, God bless her each and every day. So understanding, that lady. And she said, go, be there for your family. Take as much time as you need. And I told her, I said, all I want is just to be able to say goodbye to her. I booked the tickets. The same day. This was Saturday at about, by this time it's already 8:45. I booked it flying out of LAX at 3:25 p.m., arriving to Mexico, to Guadalajara at about 8:30 their time. It would have been 6:30 here. We start shuffling. All we took was a carry-on. We get to the airport. Everything was going so smoothly. We passed TSA, no problem, didn't get held back, nothing. Once we get to the waiting area, to the gate as they call it, we're greeted with a bunch of angry passengers that were supposed to go to Mexico City the night before. And their flight had been canceled due to weather conditions. So it's understanding. They're very frustrated because employees at the airport keep telling them, the next plane is yours. No, the next plane is yours. So we're just sitting there. We're lost. We're trying to grieve. We're just trying to get to my aunt, because the way funerals work in Mexico is they pass away, for example, say today, they're viewed the same day and they're buried tomorrow. It's very fast. It's not like here, it's a process. You need permits. You need the death certificate to be registered. No, it's very quick. So we're greeted by a bunch of angry passengers and we're like, we're so sorry. Like, we don't know what's going on. Our plane arrives. Everybody is getting off. They're cleaning the plane. We're getting ready to board. And these bunch of angry passengers just block the entrance. And they say, no. Si nosotros no nos vamos, ellos tampoco. Meaning, if we can't leave, they're not going nowhere. You need to give that plane to us to fly to Mexico City, and they need to wait for another one to go to Guadalajara. So you can just imagine, passengers now from our flight from Guadalajara started going at it with passengers going to Mexico City. And this big brawl, doors are getting kicked, glasses, it's getting hit. It was insane. And all I could do was just sit there and cry. Sit there and cry in hopes that I can at least say bye to my aunt, that's all I want. Is I just want to get there with my family, say my final goodbyes, and lay her to rest. That's all I want. And I felt like the world was just coming down on me and that it wasn't going to happen. Fast forward 11 hours later, still sitting at the airport waiting. These people are not leaving. They're not letting anybody board any plane. There's an employee that comes out and says, look, this is the situation. That plane is for Guadalajara. We asked the pilot and he said, no, I am not flying to Mexico City. My itinerary says Guadalajara and I'm sticking to it. God bless that pilot, honestly. So they ended up sending a plane out from Tijuana to accommodate those passengers that had already at this point been almost 48 hours at the airport. I don't blame them. I'm not angry at them. I just want to go and grieve. That's all I want. So I stood in front of the LAX employee, very nice man, and I told him, listen, I don't care what time we leave. As long as it's today, I just lost my aunt. I want to make sure that I can go and I can grieve next to her. As long as you can guarantee that we leave today, I'm okay. I'm all right with that. And he looked at me dead in my eyes and he said, I guarantee you, you will be able to say bye to your aunt today. Like I said, 11 hours later, we were finally boarding the plane and we made our way to Mexico, to Guadalajara. One of the flights that I've never dreaded the most, but I was dreading it. It was insane. So we get to the airport. At this point, we haven't slept almost 24 hours. We get there at like 3:30 in the morning, their time. It would have been 1:30 here. And my dad asks us, what do you guys want to do? I want to go see my sister. And I said, whatever you want to do, Dad. You want to go see your sister? Let's go straight from here. We didn't come here to vacation. We didn't come here to sleep. So let's go. Let's go see my tia. And we did just that. We drove to the funeral home, or in Spanish, they call it velatorio. They don't call it funeraria. I guess in Mexico, a funeraria means a place where you come together and you meet to make arrangements. Now, a velatorio basically means like a viewing area. It's strictly just like a small chapel where they put the casket and your family and friends can view. Again, it's all day and all night. And that's what we did. We arrived. We went straight to see my aunt. She looked so beautiful, just like my grandma. She looked just like my grandma. And although it hurt to see her, just by seeing her, I can tell she was at peace. She wasn't happy in this world anymore ever since she lost her husband. She hadn't been married to my tío, I want to say 60-something years, give or take. Imagine being with the love of your life for that long, and then life just comes and rips that person out of you. How can you really go on with life without your partner in crime, your best friend, your go-to on everything? So I'm sure she's happy up in heaven with my grandparents and my tío. Meanwhile, yeah, we hurt. We hurt very much. This whole funeral industry, it doesn't matter whether I'm in it or not. When I lose a loved one, it hurts. It hurts to the core. And although I see deaths all the time, every day, it does not mean that I'm prepared when it comes to my loved ones. And with that said, I'll be doing a part 2 because I really want to share with you guys a crazy, crazy experience that we had going to the church and from the church to the cemetery. Very, very insane. Stay tuned, you guys. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my part 1. God bless you guys.